Hello and welcome to this special edition of the Vape Village podcast. Today we're previewing some of our Sunday panel sessions, which are available for you as Vape members to come along and be part of some really rich discussion. I've got Dr. Lucinda McKnight here from Deakin University today, who's one of the panel chairs for the conference. And I want to read out the panel title, so I'm going to make sure I get it word perfect. The Right to Write, Creative Writing in Senior English. And you've got quite an extensive and exciting range of speakers on that panel, Lucinda. What inspired you to put forward this panel?
Well, I think I have been inspired by a lot of exciting debate that's been going on in the English teaching community in recent years about where writing has gone in our curriculum. And I know towards the end of last year, I think it was, The Age had an article, front page article about writing and creative writing potentially coming back in the Victorian Curriculum and Assessment Authority, thinking about really revising the syllabus and working out why we really have a reading curriculum at the moment, as it's been called in Vate's idiom issue on changes in recent decades to English in schools.
And I think, a lot of the discussion I've been hearing from people who are wondering what will happen in the next iteration of the VCE English study design has really engaged with this question that you've raised here about what is the role of creative writing for our young people in our classrooms and for the way we teach and also the way we assess those.
And I just want to say up front too, by creative writing, I don't mean necessarily fiction writing. I just mean real world writing for real purposes, whether that's letters to the editor or whatever it might be, or if it's poetry, Instagram poetry, or longer narrative pieces to be published in some kind of journal or any kind of thing, just real world writing. I know myself when I did my writing folio, and that's what I should have shown people. Look at this.
This was not actually prepared, everybody.
1984, here we go. For people who are listening, it's a very, very old manila sort of foolscape folder with writer's workshop.
Quite well. It's a little faded, but it looks
across the top. So this is one of my most beloved possessions, my collection of writing pieces, which constituted 50% of my Year 12 assessment back in the day. So that's how important writing was back then. And it really equipped me for a life largely as a professional writer. But I'm not sure that the kind of writing that we do in schools really equips students in the same way now. Anyway, but I have Dr. Annalise Balsamo, who's the English Curriculum Manager from VCAR, who many of you may know, coming along on the panel. Obviously, she can't talk about what's happening with changes and things. That's all completely confidential. But she can certainly talk about what teachers have been telling her, because she has lots of conversations with teachers from all around the state all of the time, and so she'll be able to give us some thoughts about that. And then I have Suzanne Gannon, who is a fabulous advocate for English teachers, an academic from Western Sydney University, who has recently done a big study of writing in Australia. So she will be talking about what she found in schools, especially in relation to the effects of high stakes testing on the teaching of writing. NAPLAN in particular. And then we have Richard Short, who's a storyteller-in-chief with the Story Factory, which is a fantastic organisation that does work with students from backgrounds which have some kind of disadvantage in them and teaching them to write, and the importance. He's going to talk about the importance of creative writing to those students, which makes us think, why is it being excised from school writing?
Absolutely. And I think, you pointed to the example from your own education. I was educated for high school anyway in New South Wales, and I created a major work for an English subject, which again privileged that form and that process.
What was your major work?
It was a short story, actually. So it was a 4,000 word short story. It was absolutely my favorite thing that I worked on throughout that year. We also had to have lots of discussions about, writerly intent, all of that sort of creative and analytical process. So it was really exciting at the time and something that I wish I could give students the opportunity to do.
And Ernest, I bet you've still got that story. Whereas in my PhD study, I worked with a teacher who said that the kids just doing these formulaic essays, churning them out, the text responses, she said, she went like this. She chucked her hands around in the air and she went, oh, the kids just throw them away. They couldn't care less. They don't keep anything from year 12 English. So there are no sort of artifacts that you can ask students to show you after they've left school in research, which is something, you know, in itself.
It's also made me cry when I've seen students do that before, after I've spent, you know, hours poring over them, giving them feedback, and then watch them go into the bin, even though I understand why it might happen. But I think as a teacher, there's a real sense of loss as well when you see.
Oh, absolutely, because those pieces of work represent dialogue with students, don't they? Or they should, certainly. But unfortunately, it seems that the dialogue these days is more just about whether they've met some kind of formula, not about whether they've genuinely shared their ideas, as we say in the English method course that I teach, as rhetors, as people who have a purpose and want to use the power of writing to serve them with achieving something in the world. I mean, there are cynical people who think that it's no mystery why you know, students' writing should be denatured. Do we want citizens who are powerful writing, who can achieve change, or do we just want people who can do what they're told and tick boxes?
Absolutely.
As citizens.
And I think, again, the title of your panel is so provocative in terms of getting teachers to really engage with that broader purpose of our education, and to think of young people as having those rights around their development as citizens and engaged citizens at that. Well, I think that is an excellent introduction to what is on offer as part of this panel at the VATE State Conference. So if people are interested in coming along, it's all happening online. So jump onto the VATE website to register, and you can join us for this panel on Sunday, the 4th of October. Thank you so much for your time, Lucinda.
Thank you, Ernest.
And we'll see everyone at the VATE Conference.